Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is Trey Laird, the co-founder and CEO at the Lighthouse. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Jared. I'm well. Thanks for asking.
Excited to chat with you here today. Let's dive right in. Tell the audience a little bit about you.
Sure, thanks. I'm the CEO and the founder of the Lighthouse, which is recovery support services in New Canaan, Connecticut. This is a second career for me. I spent 23 years in finance on Wall Street, trading equities. Um, Halfway through that career, I developed an opiate use disorder, sought treatment, and everything kind of started to change at that point. When I was in treatment, my family, I had a wife and two kids at that time, and they asked me to take some extra time after 28 days. They weren't ready for me to be back in the house. They had also, had a traumatic experience living with me, and and I wasn't sure that I wanted to be at home either. Unfortunately, my counselors at my treatment center suggested that I go to Sober Living, which I had never heard of before, but that they couldn't give me any good recommendations for sober living in my area. And so they suggested that I go to Florida or California for sort of the next leg of my recovery. Again, I was 38 years old at this time, working in New York City on a trading desk and had two kids. And the idea of going to Florida or California for a 90-day period didn't make any sense to me. So I didn't do that. And while we didn't start the Lighthouse for another 8 years, that problem never really went away. While there was some okay sober living in Florida and California, basically where the most of the treatment centers are or were, there wasn't any good aftercare. And what I had seen in my first 8 years of recovery was a lot of people that had gone to 30 days of treatment and then really struggled again once they stopped treatment. There was never any good continuing care. There was never any good follow through. All of the aftercare was left to, hey, you should go to Alcoholics Anonymous and meet a lot of other, people in recovery. And if you stick around them, you'll do great. But there was no accountability. There was no management of that process, and most people slipped through the cracks. So uh, I loved being in recovery, and I loved the life that I had created, and I saw an opportunity, and I thought about it to help other guys. And originally, when we opened in 2016, it was just a men's house, in Darien, Connecticut, an hour outside the city, and the idea was that guys would come live at the Lighthouse after 30 days of treatment, as they got their sea legs underneath them post treatment, because what we had learned is that getting sober and getting help in an inpatient setting is not real life, and until you have the opportunity to walk by that bar or go past that go to your golf club or take a business trip without drinking or using other substances like you used to, you really don't know how that treatment has worked on you. And so guys came to live at the Lighthouse. It was just a big house with comfortable, great food, fellowship, camaraderie, brotherhood, and guys really loved it. It was and still is a place to get comfortable in your new skin, if you will, and get used to doing all those things in your life that you love to do without a drink or any substances. So far it's been a great run, and we're happy to keep it going.
And obviously, this is personal, but what excites you most about what you're working on each day?
What excites me the most about what we're doing is that we're creating this new standard of care for addiction, certainly, and arguably also for all mental health, about how one person should go about um, their recovery. Again, as I didn't know much about the system as a whole as I entered this venture. All I knew was that for me, there was something sorely missing. And what I found is that that was the case for everybody. As good as your treatment may be for 28 days or even 60 or 90 days, what they told me when I got to treatment was that I had a chronic disease, that there was no cure. I was going to have this forever. and that the best chance for keeping this disease at bay was to um, work on it daily and to take steps and actions on a daily basis to make sure that I didn't have a recurrence. Having said that, there was no good systems set up, and so we've created the system for recovery support, specifically the connection that our clients feel when they're in residence, as well as working with their recovery coaches. And we'll go into more on that, but the recovery coaching field is in the first inning here. And I believe that if you fast forward 5 years, recovery coaches will be the point person for most people who are, in early recovery from a substance use disorder.
And these sober living recovery coaches have a pretty big challenge, though, right? Making sober life fun. How are they going about that in this program?
Yeah. So just if you allow me to back up for 1 second, the idea of a recovery coach is somebody with their own lived experience, with their own substance use disorder and everything that goes with that. And the ability for them to bring that to the relationship with somebody that's about to enter this new recovery life, as opposed to it being a clinical relationship with a doctor or a therapist where it's not even. The recovery coach relationship with the client is very eye to eye, and what our coaches do is they ask two simple questions of our clients. One is, what does recovery look like for you? Meaning, what are your recovery goals in the next 90 days, 180 days, 365 days? And the second question is just, how can I help you achieve your recovery goals? And what the recovery coach brings is a host of resources, of institutional knowledge that comes not from a book or from taking classes, but from their own lived experience. And what they, intuitively know how to do is to get from having 7 days of sobriety or 14 days to, months and years. And so what we try and do, and I think is important, and not everybody does it this way, is that we really try and match up our client with the best coach for them. And so what that means is that if I have a 64-year-old financial services executive who's coming into my program, I'm going to match him up with another coach who is similar age, similar career, similar life situations, married, grown children, and all of those things that the client will be able to identify with, not just the substance abuse or the alcohol abuse. And what we find is that our clients love connecting with our coaches because of all of the resources that the coaches bring. So the coach might say, hey, do you want to go to try out some AA meetings? Is that for you? This is why it worked for me or didn't work for me. Do you want to, get outside and go hiking, or, what do you really love to do? Because whatever you love to do, we want to do more of it. And we can call it having fun. We can call it bringing you joy. We can call it lifting you up. We can call it adding to your recovery capital account. Whatever it is, we know that the client knows what's going to work for them. And we just have to draw, coaches are great at drawing it out.
And Trey, talk me through a little bit. You have this SoberLink uniqueness, right, of the Lighthouse, this use of technology. Talk me through that a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Sure. So we use a couple pieces of technology at the Lighthouse. One is a SoberLink, which is a portable breathalyzer. We also work with a very cool newer company called Accountable. And what Accountable does is they also have their own alcohol monitoring device, as well as drug testing, remote and virtual. So that's important too. The accountability piece is important because as much as somebody in early recovery wants to not pick up a drink or a drug, a lot of times as they're living their life, the opportunity is there. And you might be walking through an airport. It might be the first time you're walking through an airport in 30 years that you're not stopping at a bar before you get on the plane. And what the technology does, since we have our clients doing breath tests, every 3 or 4 hours, is you quickly say to yourself in your head, well, shoot, if I stop and have a drink, I'm not going to blow, I'm going to blow a positive on the next SoberLink, and then my coach will know, and then the other my team at the Lighthouse will be aware, and I don't want to, there's no way to get away with it without it being a secret, right? So that's important. We've had clients tell us that literally the only thing that's kept them from a drink is that exact thought process where they say, well, shoot, if I have a drink, it's not going to be a secret anymore. The other technology that we're using at the Lighthouse are these wearables, right? So I'm wearing a Whoop, and we're working with a new company called Preta, which is more specifically for behavioral health and addiction. They use a Fitbit and or an Apple Watch interface. And what these are showing us is really like getting a lot more granular data on our sleep, on our recovery, on our activity. And what we can show the client is over a period of time, they feel a lot better by hitting, certain recovery marks or sleep marks or physical fitness marks. And so they can make that connection for themselves between, oh, wow, so if I sleep better, I'm going to feel better. And that's going to be a positive for my recovery. Whereas if I, if I stay up till 2 o'clock watching Netflix, that's, I'm going to feel bad the next day, which you intuitively know, but it's different when you see the number on the screen in front of you. At least that's what our clients say. So I think those two pieces of technology, again, the alcohol and drug monitoring has been part of our program since day one. The wearables we're just kind of testing and in beta use right now, but I do think they'll be a big part going forward.
And what's next for the Lighthouse?
I believe the Lighthouse has a lot of applicability, both geographically. We're looking at other areas, primarily, in the Northeast or far West market. What we know is that we don't really have any competition for our clients, and our demographic again is going to be 40 to 60 years old, middle of a career, middle of a marriage, a lot to lose if I don't get this right. And also, the ability and the opportunity to stay engaged in my life professionally and to see my family. Most of the, side note, most of the programs for young adults and adolescents are set up where they haven't gotten to a point in their life or their career where there's a lot at stake. They need a lot more life skills and guidance on launching a career, whereas most of the clients at the Lighthouse are in the middle of a career or even at the end of a career or retired. So we think there's applicability in other geographies, and we also think we can keep growing our program here locally in New Canaan, Connecticut. I'm really proud of the local recovery scene here. There's actually no better place to be in recovery than right here. All of the resources that exist from 12-step meetings to yoga studios to other, lots and lots of other people that are walking the same path, it makes people feel comfortable. The thing I'm most proud of in the last 12 months is that we've had, over 15 clients that have lived in the Lighthouse that came from other parts of the country have relocated permanently here to Fairfield County. And I think that that's a hallmark, not just of the Lighthouse, but of the broader local recovery community here in New Canaan. So a lot of opportunities. We'll be careful about where we go, but we do believe that between coaching and community connection, that people are in good hands in their early recovery with us.
Well, Trey, I look forward to staying in touch and continuing to see the Lighthouse grow. Wishing you the best of luck, and keep doing big things.
Thank you, Jared. Pleasure to be here.